Hey, everybody, you're listening to the Jaunty Mantis, a tabletop role-playing game podcast where we answer creative questions from curious gamers. I'm Jesse, and with me, as always, is Maddie, the last dinosaur. He's my friend, and a whole lot more.
That's a me.
Today, last time on the Jaunty Mantis. We talked about the perks and pitfalls of using dinosaurs in tabletop role-playing game, and today we're going to jump into a discussion of some of the best tools that are out there for using dinosaurs in your tabletop role-playing games.
And what kind of tools are we talking about here, Jesse?
We'll probably be talking about actual game systems, and we'll talk about books, and we'll talk a little bit about miniatures.
Oh, okay.
Because personally, I just think, I don't always get to play with miniatures, and it's a thing that I've really enjoyed in the past, but it's kind of a hassle. But I think if I had a big signature fight, if I could just slam a honking T-Rex like child's toy on the table and be like, yeah, that's it. That's the scale. I feel like that has some weight.
It does. The weird thing about miniatures is they get exponentially more fun the larger in scale they get. So if you're like, maybe you can speak to this better than me, but like if your dungeon master or game mother has like a tack map and like trees that they've made and rocks and like features or buildings, the combat encounter just gets way more fun at that point.
Yeah, when you can visualize it. I thought for a second you were talking about the size of the miniatures in general.
No, I am also talking about that. Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
So when you have a big miniature you can put down, fun increases.
This is tangential, but it just reminded me when we had all those Star Wars action figures from the prequels in the house, and we used that scale for miniatures for the Star Wars role-playing game with actual like Kenner action figures.
True story.
That was very silly and fun, but not dinosaurs, which is what we are about.
Yeah, dinosaurs aren't fun. They're very serious, Jesse.
Serious business. No dinosaur or dinosaur-like things in Star Wars. Bosk is a weird dog thing, not some kind of reptile.
If you say so. He looks like a fucking dinosaur man to me.
Okay, fine. He is then. I wanted to share a dinosaur encounter.
Oh, please do.
Okay. This is the silliest thing I've ever done as a druid. So we were playing in an RPG, and it was run by our good friend John, and it was a sort of loosely based on the Curse of Monkey Island video games, but it was a pirate themed game. And we get to this island, there's all this darkness about, and like the town is getting overrun by these zombie snakes, and then zombie dinosaurs ridden by black robed hooded figures come out of the jungle, including a zombie T-Rex.
Yep.
And that was a cool moment. And in the following moment, I cast polymorph on myself and turned myself into a T-Rex, did the roar, and charged in.
Hell yeah.
That felt good. That was a good moment in gaming.
That's what dinosaurs do. They make you feel good, Jesse.
I got a good game with dinosaurs that'll make you feel good. I really want to play.
What is it?
I got the quick start of it recently. Predation.
I know this game. Yes, I have this game as well.
Have you spent much time with it?
I mean, we've held hands. We've gone on a couple of dates. I think they're interested. They seem interested. I don't know if sparks are going to happen. I don't know if anything is going to blossom from this, from these few exchanges we've had. But I've had a lot of fun with it.
You and Predation are talking.
I've had a lot of fun reading Predation, but I don't know if it's something I would run. If you were gonna run it and I played in it, that'd be fucking awesome. But I love the Cypher system. The game I will probably never actually run or play in. But I love the fucking Cypher system. I don't think I would run Predation in the Cypher system. I don't think I'd run it at all. It's really cool. It definitely has a lot of really pulpy science fiction elements. It's got a lot of cool cerebral elements to it as well. but there's other cipher system stuff that comes to mind first that I would rather run, like Numenera or, the Strange, you know what I mean? Like that I'd rather run first.
Yeah. For those of you who are unfamiliar with, I won't go too much into the cipher system other than to say it is a system where only the players roll. It's got a really cool attribute system for difficulty. And the cool thing about it is there's these one use, basically magic items called ciphers that you're supposed to keep cycling kind of randomly through your players' hands as they play, just so they can use them in weird and wild ways. And that is a thing that unifies all across every cipher game: the Strange, Numenera, God's Fall, Predation.
Yes.
So the basic story of Predation is in the future they invent time travel. This SATI, I think, is the organization. Start sending these people back to the late Cretaceous period called commuters. And then one day time travel just breaks. And so all these people are stranded in the late Cretaceous period. The asteroid could be coming any day now, or it could never hit Earth because the ripple effects of having humans there is different. Who knows? There's lots of people arguing about it. So they've got these couple cities, and they still have some advanced gene engineering and cyber technology that they've able to maintain. And yeah, there's like the butterflies who are like, we should never let time travel happen again. And then there's SATI who are like, we need to figure out a way to fix this. Those are two of the big factions. And the other thing that's really interesting in it is that you get to play a dinosaur.
Yeah, every player character gets a dinosaur companion, and there's different stats and different options, and you can create unique dinosaur companions. But the best part about it is the dinosaur companion is played by somebody else at the table.
It's like a delightful and charming version of the Shadow Guide in Wraith, designed to make things fun instead of to make you cry.
It's exactly like that.
I mean, just that a part of your character is played by somebody else.
Right, right. Now this was the thing that was most appealing to me out of Predation. If I do ever get to run a fucking cipher system game, I may just lift the dinosaur companion thing out of Predation and put it into whatever I'm using. That's one of the really cool things about the cipher system, is because it all works together. If you really want to create something that has like hodgepodge or pulled elements from other cipher system books, it's basically drag and drop. It's so like smooth and seamless as far as integrating the concepts.
Yeah, and like the actual mechanics, like, would you say it's rules light?
I would say that
it's not like story game rules light.
No, it's the intersection between rules and story game. So it can come off as rules light, but there's actually so much to it, kind of like under the hood. Like the parts that the players see is a lot, it's not less, but it's like it's more streamlined for them. There's more work on behalf of the person running the game, but we're used to that as game mothers and dungeon masters. So I don't know if I would exactly call it rules light, but it's definitely adjacent to rules light, if that makes any sense. Would you agree with that?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it is not a crunchy game. It doesn't have a simulationist bone in its body.
Right.
And each of the individual settings for them are so colorful and full of character, but the actual rules underneath are, as you said, plug and play. It's very smooth to transition from one to another, which is a hard feat because they don't come off as generic.
Right. Exactly. And the parts of it that aren't rules light is like you can do a lot to tweak the difficulty of an encounter, or to set different mechanical influences for an encounter in the cipher system. There's a lot of different elements or things that you can play around with, or you could just keep it really simple and straightforward for the player characters and not give them that peek under the hood. Like you can keep it all to yourself.
So another great, like probably last thing we should talk about Cypher System is like by default, like the ways you get experience points are discovering new things. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's pretty common across all the Cypher books. Discover something new, get experience points. And then the other way is something called a DM intrusion.
Mm-hmm.
And a DM intrusion is where you offer somebody 2 experience points to say, oh, you dropped your sword. Or, I mean, like something better than that, but to like intervene in the scene in a way that heightens attention and drama. And they can choose to say, no, thanks, I don't want that experience. Or they can take the 2, keep 1 for themselves, and give 1 to somebody else for doing something awesome.
Yes.
And if you want a resource for just how to have dinosaurs kind of vibing in your game, they usually put example intrusions on the side of the page as
Mm-hmm.
you're reading a Cypher System book. And the example intrusions with dinosaurs that are all throughout this book are just chef's kiss. They're beautiful.
Can you give us an example?
Not off the top of my head.
Oh, okay. I was hoping you could, but don't worry about it. Let's not destroy the pace.
I mean, you could
Um,
literally just be like, the other raptor you didn't see comes from the bushes here and here.
Another reference.
Hmm.
Perfect. All
Hmm.
right.
So yeah, that is a great resource for your games. Those intrusions, if you're just looking for ways to up that sort of dramatic tension, whether you award experience for it or not, highly recommend Predation as a resource. We'll talk more about Predation later in the season when we do our in-depth review on it.
Yes.
Um, okay. Let's see. Plangia, Plangia, Plangia.
Yeah. Plain Gia is my most recommended 5e thing. People have bought this book because of me. They bought it because of this podcast. We know that. Uh, and Plain Gia is an amazing setting. It's an amazing supplement for 5e Dungeons and Dragons. You could just use the setting details and even some of the mechanics for other games. It doesn't have to be in 5e, but that's what it was written for. And the best thing about playing Gia is it isn't just dinosaurs, it's a prehistoric stone punk campaign setting that has all of the essential things that you would need to make a dinosaur themed setting or adventure series work.
You can
Eh,
do Lost World in a world that hasn't yet been lost. Like,
Right. Yeah. And it is such an amazing book with so many great ideas and fresh takes on things that we kind of took for granted in 5e. So like playing Gia would be my most recommended resource, especially if you're playing Dungeons and Dragons.
yeah, it's
Definitely
got
check it
a
out.
dinosaur species, the playable character. There's like 3 varieties.
Hmm.
Duckbill one's a flyer one and a raptor one, if I'm remembering correctly. It's got dinosaur-based spells for your
Hmm.
5e game. It's got dinosaur-based magic items. It brings back those cool templates from 3.5 that we mentioned in the last episode. So you could have like a horned Tyrannosaurus. Like you just apply this little template to them. It's pretty cool stuff. And it also adds something really interesting in a world where there is rich material culture, but not a wealth of riches. Like magic items don't really do a lot. So they introduce like the idea of like hunting trophies. So if you're looking for something from dinosaurs, like they need a like a boost, they can go hunt this dinosaur and then eat its heart and gain this
Hmm.
like temporary blessing in the game. And also it has scars and titles from your hunt with the dinosaur, that like add to your reputation and can be used as magic items as well.
Yep. Jesse, you had me at in a world.
uh Not hello.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Um, Games I don't know much about that are out there. Hollow Earth Expeditions. We mentioned that last episode. The Ubiquity System, Exile Game Studio. The reviews on Drive-Thru made it look pretty interesting. I'll probably pick it up sooner or later because I'm like, a new game system I know nothing about. Why, this is
Hmm.
delicious candy. Um, and then I think there's Yeah, then there's like the published actual core D&D stuff.
Right.
The Tomb of Annihilation.
What is the Tomb of Annihilation?
It's like a mega dungeon designed to kill you, but it's in Chult.
Chult? That's
Yeah.
the Forgotten Realms.
Yeah, our friend Chris loves the Forgotten Realms.
That's what I've heard.
I wonder if he loves goblin riding dinosaurs like there are in the Tomb of Annihilation.
If he doesn't, he's not a friend of mine anymore.
I think he's actually run that. Chris, you'll have to write the show and tell us if you've run that. Okay. And then Eberron. How many halfling names for dinosaurs from Eberron can you remember off the top of your head?
None.
Fastieth.
Why, why would I have that in my brain? I could barely remember the name of Plangea, and I talk about it all the time in my regular life.
Okay, fine. Fastieths are velociraptors that halflings ride. So Talenta Plains
Mm-hmm.
is an area of Eberron inhabited by the halflings, and the halflings are nomadic dinosaur riders.
Yep.
We had a friend play one in an Eberron campaign. He had
That's
some
right.
crazy feat combination where he could like jump 50 feet off of his pterodactyls 50 feet up, and he'd jump off with a spear and like do the pile driver of God.
Mm-hmm.
It was
Yeah.
pretty interesting.
The Talenta halflings are a perfect example of incorporating dinosaurs into your setting without going like goo goo bananas crazy with them. Like they're very specific. They're very focused in this context, and it really does help make halflings very interesting and exciting. Like halflings are typically viewed in the Hobbit paradigm, you know, and you have settings like Dark Sun and Aberon that was like, well, what if they were more threatening? What if they were more dangerous? How would we pull that off? And in Aberon, it's by adding dinosaurs along with a couple of other things. But that's a great way to add dinosaurs to whatever you're doing and not just go like over the top with them. I mean, you could go over the top with them. That would be fucking awesome. But if you want to use them strategically, use the Talenta Plains halflings as an example. They use them as mounts. They're a core part of their culture. Their dinosaur mounts are a part of who they are. Each one is bonded individually with its rider. And there's all sorts of great avenues for role play that you can do that were previously unavailable to halflings because halflings are always hobbits.
Yep. Okay. One other thing, and I wish, unfortunately, this will probably be closed because there's 10 days to go on this Kickstarter. By the time this episode airs, it'll be closed, but maybe there'll be a late order. There is a Kickstarter right now for a time traveler's guide to dinosaur hunting, which bills itself as for 5e colossal dinosaurs, mutated monsters, and alien horrors. Right now, they're adding a resin model of like a undead Tyrannosaurus or something. It's like 3 books. The insatiable undead Gigantosaurus roams the desolate tar fields of Lodros hunting for fresh brains. 300 dinosaurs and prehistoric monsters. So, like, people are still really interested in this idea.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And there's a lot of resources online for just people who have written articles about dinosaurs or given their thoughts about dinosaurs. Like, look at like what is it called, the GM binder. Like, I did a quick search before we started this episode just to have like a tangential idea of like how popular is this topic and what kind of resources are out there. And if they're like, there's even stuff from D&D Beyond or the DMs Guild or whatever it is. Like, this is a popular enough topic, and if you're just looking for information about dinosaurs, you don't even have to look in game settings or game environments for it. There's plenty of books, there's plenty of movies and videos and whatnot
Oh yeah, and
available.
here is another free one that is out there for you.
Okay.
If you are at all a Magic the Gathering fan, you may be familiar with the plane of Ixalan.
Okay.
And Ixalan, if you are unfamiliar, is basically like vampire conquistadors versus Aztecs who have dinosaurs as pets. And it's not,
Awesome.
yeah, it is a two polities of equal political power. It is not a colonization subjugation story. Um, and when they released Ixalan, they were doing these art books in the late teens, like the art of Ixalan. And magic card art is really cool when it's blown up to a full page in a book. And for each one of these books that came out, they did a plane shift name of the plane. So plane shift Ixalan is basically here's how to use Ixalan as a setting for your 5e Dungeons and Dragons campaign.
Nice.
So they added some new races, they added, some new like I think a new subtype or class, and then just, like here's this world with all these dinosaurs in it.
Nice.
There's even a little adventure they made for it that features dinosaurs.
Perfect.
So yeah, if you want a cool campaign setting that's like fully baked and has some great art in a book that's $30 on Amazon, Plane Shift Ixalan.
Very cool.
Okay. Miniatures.
This is you're the man now, dog. I don't know much about miniatures, so.
Oh, before we do miniatures, I have one more.
Oh, okay.
On at least an interesting idea for how to do dinosaur type player characters.
Okay, let's hear
This
it.
is the one I said I have to look it up right before we record it. Stars and Scales is a mini supplement for the Soulbound role-playing game.
Yes.
Because the lizard men in the Warhammer Old World were basically like Aztec dinosaur people who lived in Lustria, which is like basically South America. When they brought them into the age of Sigmar, into the new world, they made them basically the dreams of these powerful frog wizards that float around on sky pyramids. And so as they are champions of order, it is possible for a one of these saurus or skinks, one of these lizard people who are pretty much dinosaurs and ride dinosaurs, to join the party as a player character for a while. And so that's just out there.
Nice. Very cool. Are there any Riffs dinosaurs books?
Are there?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, all the monsters and animal books have dinosaurs in them, but there's actually a whole part of Riffs North America called the Dinosaur Swamp.
Okay.
It's a terrible place, I think.
I mean, aren't all places in Riffs terrible places?
Yeah. This is more terrible than most because it's mostly flooded like wetlands with like mega damaged dinosaurs running around. And I think like there's one city that might be Charleston.
Okay.
And then there's like a weird supercomputer in the ruins of Disneyland in Florida. So, but they have the book, The Dinosaur Swamp, and then the companion Adventures in Dinosaur Swamps. Have the barbarians who like hunt the dinosaurs and make mega damage equipment from the dinosaur parts. So yeah, there's Riffs dinosaurs. Okay.
Miniatures.
Toys.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Dinosaur toys. You probably have some. If you have children in your house, you have these lying around. A quick coat of paint and a dry brush, and they can look pretty scary.
Yeah. Do you ever just use dinosaur toys? Does that scale with your standard miniature?
I think they're bigger than your standard miniature, and I don't think that's a drawback.
Okay, that's a feature, not a bug.
Yes,
as they
definitely
say.
As intended. This thing is way bigger than you. Deal with it. Doesn't necessarily fit on a hex map nicely, or usually stay standing. But
cool.
Bones and WizKids both have some pretty decent dinosaur selections. If you are getting miniatures for your tabletop role-playing game, you probably know what this is, but in case you don't, Bones are a line from Reaper Miniatures that are kind of like your budget or discount minis. I have one. I have one somewhere up there. They come kind of pre-primed, so you are supposed to just be able to paint them. They're made out of a white plastic. They don't have the level of detail of, say, like a Warhammer 40K figure, but that's fine. They make great things on the tabletop. If you've got a friendly local game store that has them, they have a wall of Bones figures, and it shouldn't be too hard. to find one. Whiz Kids can get a little pricier, but the advantage with Whiz Kids is they're specifically scaled for your Dungeons and Dragons game, and they come usually pre-painted.
Mm-hmm.
So the downfall of that is a lot of them, unless you're spending like I'm running a Spelljammer game. I need to put dinosaurs in it because we talked about it on this show. But and I was looking into like getting some of the ships from WizKids, and if I didn't want to go with blind booster boxes, it was going to be like $60 for a set of like 5 ships.
Oh, wow.
Like and then you'd need to buy like 5 of those to get all of them.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I think I'll just leave this one alone. And I'm not chasing a blind booster. So if you got a dinosaur heavy set, like I think they might have even done Tomb of Annihilation boxes, you can go for that. But WizKids has the pre-painted option, and there's a pretty robust singles market for people selling WizKids, and then you're into the whole collectible thing, like, oh, this one's a $5 miniature, and this one's $230, and this one's $75 for some reason. I don't know.
Very cool.
Also,
and pricey.
Yeah, a little outside of my price range. The old D&D minis. You remember those?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There are just, I'm sure, buckets of those in a lot of dudes' basements, like right now.
I think I have a bucket of those somewhere in this room.
Yeah. That and muscle men, like just hanging out in boxes and attics and basements.
People have left a lot of gaming things in my homes over the years. So I never have a want for dice and shitty miniatures.
Redbeard. Okay. Sirenscape.
Sirenscape, what's that?
Sirenscape is like a music player / audio service that you can get. Like I think it's a pretty minimal subscription, and you can have it up as like a soundboard to play background music if you want to do like swamp sounds or distant dinosaur roars. That's also like there's lots of sound resources available that you can use to like kind of get that dinosaur vibe.
Okay.
And this just reminds me, I don't know why this. I think I watched one once. I don't know how it got there in the first place. There's like a survival horror Jurassic Park game.
Okay.
Where like you are just like on this island and it's kind of foggy and it's a first person game and you're running around, and then like you'll hear the T-Rex roar from Jurassic Park. And then you'll see it coming and you have to run from it. Or, you know, like the Spinosaurus, it does the phone thing from the Jurassic Park movie.
Right, sure.
And then there's one, that really tall one, a Therizinosaurus, I think is its name. It's the one that has like the huge scythe claws. And I actually saw those in a museum in Mongolia. The only thing they found of this thing is its arms. But there's just like this arm is as long as me, and then the claw is as long as me, and it has 3 of them on each hand.
Can you imagine when ancient people found this stuff? They were like, demons exist.
Yes.
Here's their claws.
Look at the claws of this demon. I am terrified. Let's make a sacrifice.
Yes.
That one only comes at you. It's like the weeping angel in Doctor Who.
Okay, yeah.
Turn away from it, it comes at you, and then if you turn around, it's like frozen mid like stride. It's horribly creepy. But one of the here's why I was telling this story when talking about sounds. There was, I want to say, an unexplainable from Vox where they were like, what did dinosaurs sound like?
Mm-hmm.
Which is a great episode, great podcast. Check it out if you get a chance. And they said, like, with a big predator like a T-Rex, it probably was nothing like the roar from Jurassic Park. It was probably infrasound. Like, it's so low that you don't really hear it so much as feel it in your legs and chest. Like it shakes you. And someone audio engineered this to put together, and it's terrifying. In a recent patch for that game, they put that sound in for the T-Rex instead of the Jurassic Park roar, and it's 100% worse.
Oh, that's awesome.
Like, especially I imagine if you got a good sound system on your gaming PC, so the floor is shaking with this like it's.
Yeah, I think that's a perfect illustration of the thing we brought up in the first episode last week, which was that feel free to go kind of crazy with dinosaurs, but also like you can make really cool adjustments to them because we really don't know as much as we think we do about dinosaurs. Like,
Hmm.
for a movie that Steven Spielbergo puts out about dinosaurs, yeah, you should have this like, roar. It really makes the impact you're looking for. But you can do different things with your dinosaurs in your games. I'm making minor adjustments like that. So,
Yeah.
great
Um,
example.
yeah, soundboards, Amazons. Okay. Um, Another resource. I'm gonna say this. It's in Worlds Without Number, Kevin
Mm-hmm.
Crawford book.
Mm-hmm.
There is a little table, and if you do some research on the internet, you can find lots of them. But it's like there's one specifically for predatory animals and great beasts, and it's the table is what is it doing when you encounter it?
It's a great table.
Yeah, like I mean, just like putting in some not computer generated AI, but like some AI for an animal to be like, what is it doing? Like it's a very different encounter if you encounter like I don't know, like a pack of velociraptors while they're looking for a lost like hatchling, or if you encounter them in the middle of mating, like or if it's just perched in front of its lair watching the countryside and you see it from far away. Those are all very different encounters. And getting that sort of table to help you focus what, by default state is an animal, like
Mm-hmm.
that animal behavior in a way that is more naturalistic than just like it charges, roll initiative, um,
Right.
can really kind of spice up that encounter.
Yeah, but it's a special animal. It's an animal that can open doors if you want it to, if you
Problem
need it
solving
to.
intelligence. Yeah.
Yeah. Like that's like we mentioned this before, but that's one of the other cool things about dinosaurs is they can be smarter if you want them to be.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. Do you have any other resources?
No, no, nothing comes to mind. What about you?
I think that's the without going into like the full on review of predation. I think
Yeah.
that's kind of it for me for now.
I think that was a pretty good starting list. If somebody really wants to get into a game that specifically makes use of dinosaurs well, I think you gave her an excellent rundown of some really beefy options.
Cool. Well, thanks. Um, yeah. Well, like anything else in this hobby, there's a ton of resources out there. We've hopefully pointed you in the direction of a couple. The key is mix and match to suit your taste,
Yeah.
um, salt to taste, if you will, on your game. And if you have a favorite dinosaur tool or resource for using them in your tabletop role playing game, let us know. JohnTMantis@gmail.com.
Yeah. And also, I cannot stress this enough. You have the ultimate dinosaur resource at your fingertips on your phone. It's called the internet. Lots of stuff has been published about dinosaurs. Lots of cool things have been made about dinosaurs, and you can discover it all. You can just read about a particular dinosaur by looking it up on Wikipedia or whatever, online. So if you're looking for resources in that capacity, not just for role playing games, if you just need inspiration, just do dinosaur image searches just to like start getting some ideas on what kind of dinosaurs you want to use, and you're set. So like don't sleep on the fact that you have the greatest resource of all in front of you, in order to make dynamic dinosaur encounters and special dinosaur as monsters or
Well, I
aspects
mean,
of your
Maddie,
setting.
I'm a fan of the podcast too, but that might have been a little much to
Oh,
talk
how
about.
so?
Oh, you were talking about the internet, not the John T. Mantis.
Oh, no, I'm never kind to the John T. Mantis, Jesse. What do we say about self-deprecating?
Don't be mean to my friend the John T. Mantis. He's a
Fair
jaunty little
enough.
guy. He's got a hat,
That's true.
a
He's ready for a
monocle.
night on the town.
Yep, stepping out. Okay. Please, if you've enjoyed the show and like what we do here, whatever you're listening to, feel free to like us, subscribe to us, review us. We'd love to hear your feedback, know how we can make this a resource that works for you. And until then, keep playing those fucking role-playing games or some shit.
Yeah. Yeah. Keep playing them and feel free to leave comments if you saw this on YouTube. put down there in the comments, like, what is your favorite game for running dinosaurs? What have you done with them in your games? Like, let us know. Fant us out.